Well, from the calm waters of the St. Lawrence to the vibrant colors of the circuit here in the Castellet, welcome along to the rural countryside of France for round 8 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship, the French Grand Prix. France, sitting in at 244,300 square miles, is the largest country in the European Union in land area, but in terms of population, it is also the most visited country in terms of tourism. This is thanks to the numerous locations like the Eiffel Tower, the Paris itself, and on some race weekends, for example, the French Grand Prix, it doubles in size. Well, we'll see how it is here tonight. Let's talk about the French Grand Prix then. The circuit Paul Ricard was built in 1969 and over the course of 50 years has hosted 22 French Grand Prix. The circuit has 15 corners, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, which makes up the 5.842 kilometer, 3.63 mile distance. There's 2 DRS zones, one on the run into turn 1 and the other on the run into the Mistral chicane, or aka turn 8, as we're on board right now with Bosch Turbo. He's on this DRS straight. It's one of the two. Well, this will aid overtaking on a circuit that, overtaking isn't really too difficult. Let's see how it plays out in the race in a couple moments of time. Just like any other circuit, the tire strategy is a necessity. Well, Pirelli has responded with bringing in the C4, C3, and C2 compounded tire, the C4 being the red-wooled soft, the C3 being the yellow-wooled medium, and the C2 being the white-wooled hard tire. This is the first time in the last 3 or 4 Grand Prix where we had a harder set of compounded tires compared to the last 3 where we had the softest in Pirelli's range. Plus, the intermediates and full-wet tires the drivers do deem so necessary, and the driver who makes the most of the tire strategy will most likely come home with a boatload of points. But keep in mind, the rain has been an occurrence. Realistic, Formula 2, Tier 3, just some of the tiers to be example. It didn't happen. It didn't show his face in Tier 4, but it could happen tonight. You have to see him coming way down after the qualifying session is over. Gerbil's going to start his flying lap in a second. Let's go through the championship. Rathe leads the championship. He got it over and took the lead from Sweller's team a week ago at Canada. The Canadian's home Grand Prix not going exactly how he wanted. He leads by 8. 127 points is what Rathe has. Well, Sweller has 119. There's a little bit of gap between Bosch Turbo, this man, in his qualifying lap right now. P3, 71 points to his name, 2 points ahead of TTM Heatwave, the driver who's gotten 2 podiums, both second places in the last 2 Grand Prix. Toneless, he's sitting P5 in the Ferrari. He went down a position. He has 61 points to his name, 9 points ahead of No Limit in the McLaren. He went up a position from last week. Mozzie is now P7, who went down a position. He has 51 points to his name, 1 point behind No Limit in the McLaren. The other Ferrari, BRL Tweak, he's back this week after his 2-week hiatus. Condolences to him after he had a little bit of a harder time. Masterplane sits P9. He sits 5 points back from tweaking. He actually gained 4 positions in the point standings from last week. He's up to P9, 26 points to his name. The other Red Bull, who is here tonight, you see pumped to win. He's on a flying lap. He sits P10. And he is 4 points ahead of Holy Cow in 11th. Well, let's go to the Constructors battle. Alfa Romeo leads Red Bull once again by 20 points. There was no change there, even though Rathe took the lead over Sweller. Aston Martin, they went up a position in the Constructors up to P3. They jumped Ferrari. Ferrari down 4th. They were behind the Aston Martin team by 5. AlphaTauri, they jumped McLaren last week. 23 points back from Ferrari. They are now 2 ahead of McLaren. Mercedes, they sit P7, 35 points to their name, 19 points clear of Williams. Alpine sit 1 point behind the Williams outfit. And Haas, 14 points back of Alpine. They have scored only 1 point this season. Well, DeBiz has moved from reserve to full-time in the Haas seat. Let's see what he can do as Gerbil goes up to the line to set his first flying lap, and that is the provisional pole, 31.630. Now I'm Hank Hatcher, joined alongside by Eldar Redeemer. And, France. People say it's sometimes boring. Well, what we've seen so far this weekend in the BRL Racing, it's not been boring at all. It's been chaotic. It's been extremely exciting, and that's one thing we hopefully see from today. But one thing I'll just notice is there's been a lot of safety cars. Well, how will that affect the strategy? Speaking of that, what do you think the strategy will be? Oh, you're okay. Yeah, I'll get that. Yeah. Speaking of the medium, Sweller has gone up to a 30.6, which is about 1.4 seconds off of Rathe, our provisional pole sitter. Well, the top 2 are the top 2 in the championship. We said Rathe overtook Sweller, the Canadian, at his home Grand Prix a week ago. Sweller's going to try the best he can to get that position back from the Red Bull driver. But one thing to notice, the last 2 Grand Prix, we had Canada and Baku. Both have had the same podium, with Rathe winning from Heatwave from Sweller. We'll see if that changes. Sweller's actually had a string of third-place finishes. He's had 3 races, the last 3 to be exact, finishing on the podium in 3rd. He wants to break that streak and go to 2nd, or maybe even a win tonight. We'll have to see how that plays out for the Alfa Romeo driver, but his teammate, Mozzie, he's on a flying lap as well, going to the final corner. Yep, so one thing to notice, by the way, the C4, C3, C2, like I said, the next one across the line should be, I believe it's one of the Ferraris. Actually, it's tweaking, I believe. But one thing to notice with these, is it Groggy? Oh yeah, it is Groggy in the Alpine. He's on the medium right now. He's gone for another lap. One thing to notice with these is this is a harder compounded tire over the last couple of Grand Prix. They were on, Groggy's on the mediums, when he just did a 33.168. That is the C3 tire. Well, a week ago, that was the hard tire at Canada, and just like that, it was the hard tire at Baku. So these guys have a little bit of a learning curve once again with the tire compounds. Is harder this week. The C4, the softs, it's going to be hard to use for a long distance of time because the softs, especially at a track like France, where the weather forecast via some drivers in the race itself says it's dry all the way with less than a 20% chance to rain. It's mostly going to be sunny with a little bit of clouds. That is going to hurt the soft compound tire, but it's going to help the mediums. And do we dare to see anyone go on those C2 hards? We'll have to see here. Groggy wants a good race, and Tweaking definitely wants a good race. He said they miss out in the last 2, and hopefully these 2 drivers will grab a good boatload of points in this respected Grand Prix. For example, though, the last time Tweaking raced, he got P4, and that was at the Spanish Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago. And by the way, they don't hear you. Is your audio clipped in? Oh, God. Are we having this kind of issue? All right. I've got a couple of messages from that. Trying to make sure. Oh, look, I have to. Probably is. Yes, that's a good lap from him. Beat Sweller's lap time by about a 10th or so. And, well, the Ferrari has gone up and put himself on the 2nd row of the grid provisionally. And since it is going to be a dry Grand Prix and a dry start at least, the top 10 have to qualify into, actually, they have to start on the race tire. They qualified into, for example, the top 10 at the moment. It would be 3 soft compound tires, with the rest being the medium. Groggy pumps for the win. Sweller and Tweaking. The rest have gone for softs, the C4 tire. Let's see how that works out. Still can't hear Redeemer. We could try, I guess, to restart the stream. Yeah, I'll try that. All right. Yeah, I guess a brief moment. We'll be right back.